Okay. All right, let's go. Hi, Mary.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. Wow, Mary from Ireland, 1:30 in the morning.
1:30.
I also very diligently logged in at 4:30. Dubai time. And then since you guys were not there, which is very unlike David and Helene, because they're always there on time, I thought, okay, there must be something wrong here. Then I looked at the time conversions, and of course, I was 1 hour early.
I was going to write to you because I knew you were going to go the
I said
wrong
maybe
time.
she just got up. She's a little disoriented, maybe.
So over to
I
you.
think that happened once before too. You were
Yeah.
like an hour. You wanted to come on an hour earlier.
Yes,
I
yes,
said, well,
yes.
she can't. I'm not ready.
Hello, Mynoo. Happy New Year to you and David and Helen and everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Mary. How are you?
Missed you a lot. Hi, darlings.
Hi.
Long time no see, Mynoo, but I'm just here. Lovely to be here. Happy New Year, everybody.
You too, my dear.
Yes.
Over to you, David and Helene, to set up today.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
We're
today is going to be a very exciting
time
because we're going to be going into 2025 in and around the human miracle. We're going to be talking about a little, going a little into the future
exciting.
and how the human miracle will be given all these amazing opportunities to become even more of a human miracle.
Great.
We're talking all about miracles.
And welcome, Gail.
Thank you.
Great. So thank you, David and Helene, for hosting tonight. And as always, as I'm talking, if there are any points that come up for you, then you can interrupt me.
Right.
Okay. You know, I love doing that.
Now, for this one, my notes actually are on my phone. So I will be looking down on my phone from time to time. That's all it is.
Oh,
so
okay.
let's begin. And you'll look after the waiting room, David.
Yes.
Yes, we will.
Great. Wow, Karen, you're here as well. What time is it there?
It's 2:30 in the morning.
Wow.
But I was so excited about hearing you earlier today. Thank you. It was beautiful to hear you. So
okay, so 2025. Now, some of you have heard me say this, but I just want to establish the overarching context from which the impact of the energies of 2025, how it impacts us, is coming from this overarching context of 2025. So there is a triad, like the cosmic symbol is that of a triangle. Threes are like the big numbers. It's a series of threes. So this triad that has been anchored like a cosmic energy symbol, it's anchored over each of us, it's anchored over our communities, it's anchored over the planet Earth itself. And the triad has three vibrational forces. One is flourishing, the other is harmony, and the third one is humility. And I will be doing a series on flourishing and humility and harmony. So we really get up close and personal to these vibrational forces. I'm constantly reminded it's not vibrational energies with this triad. It is vibrational forces. Each one is a force unto its own. And the human miracle is to be in the center of this triad. Now, the human miracle, the human form itself, the human construct itself has a triad of its own. And there are those three systems that I've talked about in this Human Miracle series. We have the flow systems, the organ systems, and the life force systems. So the flow systems are systems that are flowing, like the circulatory system, the lymphatic system, the glandular system. Organ systems are systems that are made up of a collection of organs. Connective tissue is also in the flow systems. And we've done work on each of these in this series. So those of you who are new to this, you can go into the playlist of the Human Miracle. And it's quite a fascinating one, because when I do the Human Miracle series, it is a transmission. I literally only get a few points that I make a note of prior to the session. And then I just show up and allow the divine to communicate. So flow systems are the ones where there is flow. There's a natural rhythm of flow. Organ systems are where there is each system has a collection of organs. And the life force systems are those that bring about that spread life force in our bodies. So the chakra system, the meridian system, the marma system, they're all systems that come under the life force systems. So now let's look at those 9 points that I referred to in my overarching description of the session. And I'm going to take them under each of the triads. And there are like three aspects of the human form that are particularly activated. Now remember, a miracle is where something beautiful occurs that makes our heart sing, which is, it occurs in the moment. There is a rhythm to it. There is a beat to it. There's a cadence to it. And the human miracle is this phraseology got put together by the divine, because the human form is designed so perfectly that it naturally achieves cadence. When you achieve cadence, it's as if your energy regenerates. Cadence, I describe by referring to walking. My ex-partner Phil, every Sunday we would go for a walk, and it was always a 3-mile walk that we would do, with little Sai at the time, who absolutely did not want to walk. So he would often say that, look, the best place to walk is Hampstead Heath in London, because we can get into cadence by walking up Parliament Hill. And it used to be exhausting. You go in there, you're not even ready to walk, and you're climbing up this hill. And he would often say that, look, the moment you get to the top of the hill, you're in cadence. And then after that, your energy will just take you forward, and will achieve the 3-mile walk in no time at all. And that's exactly what used to happen. So I really got that first, to achieve cadence, you first consciously, take that next step next, consciously. Whatever it takes, you just continue taking the next step next. And then the moment you achieve cadence, boom, you're just doing exactly what you did before, except this time, you're not having to put any conscious effort in it. When it comes to flourishing, this is an amazing opportunity that this year presents to us, and it will then stay with us until we have our last breath, to achieve cadence in the realm of miracles. Our human form is designed, every system, flow system, organ system, life force system, and all of the different systems within each of these systems are perfectly designed to achieve cadence. All that we are to do from our end, in terms of our mental using our mental prowess is to keep these systems connected to their originating intent. The triad of flourishing, harmony, and humility enables us to keep each of these systems in their originating intent. And when they get to their originating intent, they regenerate and cadence is automatically achieved. And therefore, the human form is able to heal itself and repair itself and release that which doesn't belong. So now let's look at flourishing. You know, there's so much to flourishing, but really what I want to pick here is one very small piece, and then I'm going to look at the three aspects on how it impacts the human form. I just know for myself, I experience flourishing not by thinking it, but by knowing that I'm in it together. I'm in it together with my family, with my friends, with the nature. So if I only focus on me, as long as I'm standing in the center of the triad, your choices will be such that they will cause a flourishing experience, and therefore, in a very positive way, impact those and everything around you. So as a result, the first point that impacts and accentuates the miracle aspect of this human form is that flourishing dissolves tenseness. And my logical mind would say tension. And no, I don't edit the words that come through. The word that came through was tenseness. So when we get tense and we nest ourselves in that tense, in the tension of being tense, it's tenseness. So flourishing actually avoids us from nesting ourselves. Now, when that tenseness is dissolved, then denseness actually diffuses. You don't feel that dense anymore. And you literally experience it with an exhale. You'll know the depth of your exhales. That shortness of breath starts to disappear. I'm going to cover the 3 points under flourishing, and then I'll share with you how I work with this. The second thing that occurs is flourishing as an energy force enriches presence. Because you know you belong, you know you're not alone. And if you take flourishing as just the way it is, you're able to be present. And when you are able to be present, then emotional dissonance disappears. And it directly impacts our organ systems. Because our organ systems are the ones that get weakened whenever there has been an emotional distress. So the flourishing energy force, it brings flow into the flow systems by dissolving tenseness and denseness, enabling an enriching flow, and it actually directly uplifts the health of your organ systems simply by dissolving emotional dissonance that may be held in any of our organs. And the third point of flourishing as a vibrational force, it actually brings forth a knowingness that we are never alone. We are here to collaborate and sometimes co-create. And we coexist with not just our fellow human beings, by the fellow beings and the being of the planet itself. So collaboration and co-creation becomes the norm in this realm of flourishing. And when collaboration and co-creation becomes the norm, one of the biggest impacts it has is it releases the fear of aloneness or loneliness. So when I talked about 2025 yesterday, I talked about we have this amazing triad of vibrational forces that have come together in this sacred form: flourishing, humility, and harmony. There is a shadow triad as well, which is meaning, blame, and lack of vitality. And one of the biggest issues, much bigger than stress even, is loneliness. And it's a fear of loneliness, which itself is a huge lie. Because we are a soul being having a human experience, and as a soul being, we make soul agreements. And we already know more than enough. If we are all adults, we already know more than enough. And we have got more than enough evidence throughout our life where we know we've connected to people who we didn't at all know. They don't come from our family's construct. Why are they in our lives? Why have they been in our lives? Because, we've had soul agreements with them. So as a soul being, the soul recognizes the connections. And really what this third point of flourishing that impacts the human form directly is the collaboration and co-creation is the norm in the realm of flourishing. You perform at your best. You actually are not fearful of sharing what you have done or what you're engaged in. You follow the systems, okay, you might do a patent registration and you might put a copyright and stuff, but you don't necessarily have to hide it. You don't play small. You actually are able to amplify. So when I took the three under flourishing, and this is something that I've been working on as we've been building up to 2025, personally myself, what I saw was that I became more accepting of myself. And literally this thing that I talk about, no unsaid communications, actually has become my norm. And I diffuse that unsaid communication piece almost the moment I discover it. And when I have that, then there are no unfulfilled expectations either. Doesn't mean that expectations are not met. That does happen. When you have unmet expectations, it's just a fact. This is what I expected, it wasn't met. And you can take certain actions around it. But when you make it unfulfilled expectations, you've now added meaning to it. And then very easy to slide into blaming. Somebody else should have done something or the other. And suddenly, lots of unfulfilled expectations start to occur. So no unsaid communications really got me to focus my attention on expectations that weren't met, and decide what actions I'm going to take to address the issues that got surfaced or the issues that got revealed because of that. I actually stepped away from this unfulfilled stuff, but that was all meaning. And I was actually in action. So there was a lightness of being. I was actually, moving forward. The moment you start moving forward, be it through a mental decision that you act on, your body suddenly feels lighter and you start moving because that denseness, tenseness starts to dissolve and disappear. It also means that where there is an emotional disappointment about anything, you're able to acknowledge that fully, see it in the face, and move forward. And the best part is, there may be certain things, certain pieces where you may feel that, oh, you can't reveal this weakness to others. And I mean, I used to have loads of these kind of things. I can't say this to other people. I have to deal with it myself. Oh, I really need this person in my team. And I know that they're not delivering. I can't possibly tell them because it might upset them. So we start walking on eggshells. Denseness starts to build up. So for me, I applied this on unsaid communications. Like really, there is no space for that in my field. And therefore, unfulfilled expectations just went away. It was a very important aspect of how I went through and completed on all the different pieces of my life as we bring 2024 to an end, so that 2025, I can freely operate in the center of this triad of flourishing, harmony, and humility. And I saw these relationships to my physical body. So when I was, being given the download on these 9 points, I could see, this happened, that happened, that happened. I could immediately relate to those things. Now, when you hold tenseness and denseness, it directly shows up in your physical form. Frown lines are a reflection of that, or becoming slouched like this, or your neck hurting constantly, is all a part of that denseness, tenseness there. And you can work on that physically, physiologically, doing yoga, Pilates, physiotherapy, whatever you may choose. Enter the realm of flourishing, and your body actually can restore itself. And then you can go even further with Pilates and yoga or whatever else that you take up. I mean, I love yoga, but there's a particular situation that is occurring in one of my businesses, which is quite a bit of a shock, not a positive one, that I've gone through in 2024. So denseness, tenseness was definitely there. But applying it in this form, where I took on unsaid communications as my solution, because there were too many unfulfilled expectations and they kept multiplying. I took on unsaid communications as my way of just removing this unfulfilled expectation from my field so it doesn't start attracting more and more. I had this amazing experience of a transformation in my physical body. And I ended it with a liver flush. I just think it was the best thing to have ended the year with. The 7 days of liver flush. So really supported the rest of my organs. David, Helene, anything you want to bring in at this point? Share, ask, if any questions that arise for anyone, put them in the chat so that I can address them as we go along.
Right.
Just finding it all very interesting as always.
Yeah. So I'll continue then.
Yes.
always good when you learn something to really go back and look at one aspect of your life. And then if you can actually get that aspect of your life, work through, and you see and anchor in the benefits that you have experienced or enjoyed, and are able to relate to what I'm teaching here, it anchors it for you. Let's look at the second point of the triad, which is harmony. And how does that harmony impact and accentuate the human miracle? The first piece is, so what is harmony? Harmony is, the way I like to think about harmony is people often talk about balance and harmony, they might say. But they're two completely different things. They're literally opposite forces. Balance keeps you out of balance. Harmony, on the other hand, keeps you in flow, in rhythm. So balance is like you're standing on a seesaw, that thing that they have in the children's playground, and you've got your foot on two sides of the seesaw, and you're balancing yourself, keeping it going. You're constantly out of balance, and your focus is so much on balancing yourself that you're really not present to all that is going on right there in front of you. And there's tension. There's, you're like, at a click of a finger, you can slide into blame if somebody takes your attention away because you go out of balance and one side becomes heavier than the other. And you would start blaming, at the drop of a hat. So in this realm, what's occurring now and will continue for the rest of our lives, in this realm, it's all about harmony. Drop the idea of balancing anything, home and work life. No need to balance anything. You are you. Harmony, the other beautiful thing about harmony is it's so personal. And anything where you are really focusing on yourself, then you can do something about it. Harmony you find within you. You can't go out there and, balance tensions in relationships. If you are in a state of harmony and you show up, you hold the space for harmonious relationships. And they will occur or they will not occur. You don't lose your harmony over that. So that's the power of this vibrational force of harmony. How it impacts the miracle of this human form is when you are in a state of harmony, as a consequence of that, you start firing on all 6 cylinders: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, social, and environment. And then you start thriving on all of the 6 cylinders. A lot of the time, we are not even firing on all 6 cylinders. We may have an undue focus on mental, or undue focus on emotional or spiritual, but physical will be ignored. And I was totally there. During my series of spiritual awakenings, physical was not something that I focused on, certainly for the first several years. And prior to that, it was all physical only. And a lot of the others I didn't pay any attention to. So when you are in the state of harmony, naturally, you're aware of your physical presence. You also become conscious of your thoughts, which is mental. You're not afraid to feel and express your emotions or acknowledge them. and you're automatically connected to the spirit of you. And social, when you come from a space of this whole and completeness in you, you interact with others, acknowledging their, their intricacies, but you do relate to them as whole and complete.
So when you're whole and complete, you're internally, then everything works beautifully on the outside.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm saying that the harmony vibrational force puts you in that state. And that
And
impacts social dynamics. Yes, Helene.
balance doesn't.
Balance doesn't.
Balance keeps you out of balance.
It actually, totally. But just go back and look at your life. And I looked at my life, I was balancing work and home life. When my son was born and then I became a single parent, and like nobody was satisfied. Everybody, we were always on our inner rush. And instant gratification was the norm. Okay, let's buy him a lollipop. That might just, gratify him. The next time he didn't want lollipops. He wanted a lollipop and an ice cream. So literally it becomes, you start becoming consumed. Balance, it gets you into the realm of consumption, instant gratification. Whereas harmony gives you the freedom to be creative. And remember, our soul essence is the essence of the creator. We are born to create. We flourish when we create. You disconnect from that by finding balance. You have automatically, it's as if we've suddenly given rise to loads of blocks and hurdles and, obstacles around us when you get into this realm of balance. Knowing what I know now of this triad of power and the shadow triad, which is the destruction of that power, it immediately puts you in that triad of meaning, blame, and loss of vitality. So, and your environment, when you're in a space of harmony, because you're much more in tune with what's going on, you're more aware of your environment. And therefore, when you're more aware of your environment, things that don't actually resonate, then you will take proactive action towards it. So that's the first way in which the human form and the miracle of the human form is enriched by harmony. The second is there is a harmony triad itself. I'm just loving these, triangle and triangle and triangle. It's like Merkabahs and stars and stuff forming together as these triangles overlay each other. And the harmony triad is about your lifestyle, your relationships, and work. You start to experience a direct upliftment of your lifestyle. And your lifestyle is a consequence of how you choose to live your life. Your relationships, there's greater harmony in your relationships. And there's greater harmony in the work that you do, whatever you choose and how you go about doing it. So what I noticed for myself, because I've been working with harmony now for a few years, but very specifically, I took on 2024 as a year of harmony, which is what gave me an understanding of this whole idea of flourishing. And I'm really looking for different pathways which enable my soul mission to be realized, which is expecting and accepting miracles are the norm. So harmony is an important part of that. So what I saw for myself is when I took on harmony, I stopped focusing so much on the future. It's not that I don't have an intention for my life. I do. Expecting and accepting miracles as the norm for humans and humanity. And that's for all of the 8 billion people and growing. I've taken it on very specifically as a human resolve, because everything else already is in the realm of miracles. Now, I do have that. I do have, game plans that I create. But by being in harmony, I also empower myself with this amazing power tool of acknowledgement. When things don't work out or things don't go the way I expected them to, I use the tool of acknowledgement to acknowledge all that I'm feeling, experiencing, and all that occurred, unconditionally declare all that I have unconditional acceptance of everything, only after I've acknowledged it all. And then I acknowledge what is it that I'm powered by on account of what has occurred. And I acknowledge all of that. And then I look at what I have been empowered by and choose from that the 2 or 3 points that are points of leverage that will enable me to shape the next phase of my life. That keeps me in context, keeps me in a state of allowing, keeps me connected to how I am being in any situation. And therefore, the doing flows. And I'll end up doing only that which is mine to do naturally. So 2024 was a huge year for me and in everything that I've been engaged in, where our work and our businesses focused almost exclusively on client fulfillment. In any business, there are 3 verticals: client acquisition, client fulfillment, and governance. So we've really achieved a mastery in client fulfillment across all of the areas that I have been engaged in. Now, you may be a master of client fulfillment, but if you don't have client acquisition, then you actually don't have the flow of an important force of money, which right now is an important vibrational as well as a tool and a resource that the humans require. So coming into a state of harmony, what I saw was that I was able to make huge progress in one area, and that was essential. It's as if I was building up a factory that was going to produce certain products and creating systems and checks and balances to ensure that these products have got the quality, meet the quality standards, and can be restored if things go wrong and stuff. And now I can really turn the volume up on getting these products out to market. That was huge because we were beating ourselves up for a lot of last year that we are not putting our attention on client acquisition. We're not putting our attention on client acquisition. And stepping into harmony, I allowed for whatever showed up to show up and stepped away from we have to earn this much and we have to do this and we have to do that. That allowing actually got everything to flow exactly as it is meant to. And I have never worked with rainmakers. myself, I have empowered many, many businesses by introducing them to rainmakers, and I have seen how fast that growth accelerates. So when I got into a state of harmony, I said, okay, we've got to have rainmakers on client acquisition. And then we'll have a leader within our team that leads the client acquisition activity. We must have rainmakers. In the state of harmony, I allowed for the rainmakers to rise up and step in from within my community where they have done the bodies of work that I have been doing, quite like deep bodies of work. And I won't say we are there yet, but it started to happen. Started to happen by itself. So I got that, it is important to know where you're going and then allow this harmony triad to take shape, noticing and what actions, what you're going to be proactive about, what are you going to have zero tolerance on. So there are lots of nuances to working with this, but I'm not in the realm of just balancing myself anymore. But that causes a mountain of distractions. It's not that I don't have distractions. I do have distractions. Netflix.
So where does
I just want to complete the sentence and then I'll bring you in. What I do is I manage my time with time segmentation. So every day I have a distraction time segment. So when I'm drawn to distraction, okay, it's going to be done in the distraction time segment. And I have great fun with it. Now it's not taking over my day. Now I'm not worrying about procrastination or this falling off or that not happening, because I'm in a state of harmony. I can make those choices. When you're balancing yourself, you're so busy balancing that there isn't any time for anything else. David.
No, I was just gonna wonder, I'm just wondering, the word in sync, the words in sync, how that ties into the harmony, things to be, because if you're in harmony in all of these areas that you're mentioning, then
yeah, in sync that is actually what occurs. You're in sync with your own being. When you're in the realm of balance, you're not necessarily in sync.
Right.
You're observing and noticing all of the stuff that takes you out of balance. So what are you giving energy to is to regenerating stuff that gets you out of balance. Whereas in harmony, you can observe everything. Some things serve you, some things don't serve you. Some places you're completely on track. It's going exactly. Other places it's not moving. And then you can make discerning choices. Where do you put your attention to? Whereas when you're balancing, you're like rushing everywhere. Where do I put my attention to? Oh, here. And then you're in the fix-it mode constantly. And your body is so tense all the time that your organs don't have the space to regenerate themselves. It's pretty miraculous, that we are where we are.
And the harmony really works in with the whole system of healing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Harmony works with your being. And the amazing thing about the human is its innate vibration is, the human's innate vibration is love, which is an amplifying frequency. So, when you're in harmony and you're being in owning your magnificence, you're actually amplifying that.
And what is, and if you mentioned rainmakers, what's your definition of a rainmaker?
Oh, yeah. This is in the context of business where, you have certain people who can actually make rain for you in terms of really bring in business opportunities to you.
Right.
They know the area, they're not experts in your product, but they know a particular region or a particular market really well. They are respected there. and they have credibility there. So people look to them for advice and suggestions. So when you have a rainmaker, let's say I have a rainmaker like Saudi Arabia, it's somebody who's done 3 of my immersions. And he just said, I've envisioned that this flow program is going to come into Saudi Arabia. And he had retired actually already. And he said, no, I'm just going to get rewired. And this has to be brought into my country. Now, he was a corporate guy, worked only with large corporates. But then he's taken on. And then I realized that actually, why am I pushing this away? I've never actually allowed rainmakers to show up and work with me for some reason. This guy could be a rainmaker. And lo and behold, it turns out that he is. So now suddenly we have many opportunities in Saudi Arabia. He understands the systems. So all of the Saudi side of things is taken care of. And we've got new opportunities flowing in from universities, from the stock exchange, and various
Rainmakers are
other
like
places.
open to possibilities. The rainmakers.
And not just possibilities, it's actually to do with business, or solutions that solve whatever it is that you're dealing with, if it is not to do with business. But in the business context, rainmakers means they bring in a flow of opportunities where they already have credibility. They put their neck on the line. They will not go through the deal. You will do that. They will not deliver your product. You will do that. But they will create a demand for it and a regenerative demand for it.
So when you're talking about harmony and mental, that would be having a positive mindset, so that no matter what comes your way, it comes into your mind in a certain way, that if it's not something that's serving you, the mind doesn't accept it, and it just
Yeah. Your mind basically goes into creating meaning. When something happens that you don't like, your mind makes it mean something. Like you have like an expectation that is not met. Your mind makes it mean that, oh, this is really bad. You're not really up to the mark. And now suddenly you're feeling unfulfilled. But factually, an unmet expectation is an unmet expectation. You deal with it. But when it becomes unfulfilled, which only happens with the mind, giving it a meaning. Really what is happening is you've gone from that triad of flourishing, humility, and harmony and leaped into the triad of meaning, blame, and loss of vitality.
So the other way would be, it wasn't meant to be, whatever it is that you were.
Yeah, it is what it is. That expectation wasn't met. Don't even make it mean that it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't met. Done. Now, what am I going to do about? Is there something for me to do? Even it wasn't meant to be is us giving meaning to it. Not necessary. Dinaka. That's just the fact. Stay on fact. It's like harm. I mean, all of these things feel so soft and squishy, but actually they are very, 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 very focused. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'll continue. Okay.
By all means.
The third way in which harmony transforms the human miracle, and I call it the human miracle, but it is the human form and the miraculousness of this human form, is that harmony enables us to be anchored, knowing and owning the 3 things that we are born with. We are born with choice, we are born with dignity, we are born with a very unique mastery that puts us at the source of our life, our source mastery. So we get anchored in the knowingness that whatever occurs is always occurring as a direct consequence of my choice. The world may change completely. How you choose to react or respond to it is your choice. What meaning you give it, or whatever however you choose to accept it or not, is all your choice. You choosing to give your power away by saying, I had no choice, I just had to do this, that also is your choice. And you declaring I had no choice is also your choice. So when you get to know that, okay, everything occurs as a consequence of my choice, you become consciously aware of your choices. Dignity is honoring of your own worthiness. And from that space, when you have, you own your own worthiness and you operate from there, you honor it in others. Naturally. So harmony actually anchors you in a state of dignity, which means you're always connected and alive, present, knowing your worthiness.
So that's your higher self, your
Yeah.
soul
You
self.
really opened up that wonderful doorway to your higher self, where higher self can just land and operate very comfortably from within your human body. Source is really the mastery of relating that your soul brought into your human form. And each of us has a very unique mastery that expresses out through us. We become anchored in it. That's the power of this vibrational force of harmony. And I see why Spirit calls it a vibrational force, not just a vibration. Yes, David, you were saying something.
Oh, I was just saying that's how you can actually experience heaven on earth. It's by operating through your higher self.
Yeah. So I'm going to go to humility. We only have a short amount of time left. Humility, the third of the triad that is brought on earth in 2025. Humility, the first thing it does, the first point it has a direct impact on, it's very pointed, is it unblocks your throat chakra. In unblocking it, it activates and harmonizes all of the chakras. When I used to do these programs, my immersions in the US, particularly when I've done them in Boulder in the past, we used to have everyone go through a biowell diagnostic before they began. And the biowell takes images of what's going on with your organs, what's going on with all of these three systems that I talk about. And it was quite shocking for people to see their chakras, where they are meant to be and how, and many times, many of the chakras were out of their body even. And by the time they got to the end of the second day, I would do another check on the third day, the chakras were coming back in line into their bodies. Humility does that. It's such a beautiful form of communicating and relating. Humility. It's like that secret power weapon, if you like. Yes.
How would you define humility?
See, you can look at the dictionary definition and it will mean whatever it means for you. Let me finish these three, because that in describing how humility impacts the human form arises an understanding of humility. I wouldn't define these vibrational forces. I wouldn't go into a definition. I would really go into an understanding of each one. What is the understanding of flourishing, understanding of harmony, understanding of humility? Because in a definition, you lose so much. So that would be my response to what you've just asked, David. So let me continue and see what emerges for you as an understanding of humility for you. So that's the first point, first amazing leverage it gives us. Unblocking the throat chakra, activating and harmonizing all of the others. That has a dramatic transformation in our life force systems. So now chi starts to move at a cellular level. Your cellular regeneration is vastly improved. The second one it does is it anchors you in magnificence as opposed to human disguise. We are all magnificent beings in human disguise. And if there are any fractures that occur, they occur only in the human disguise. Our magnificence as soul being remains intact. Humility anchors you in magnificence. And finally, the third point that occurs there is a cellular regeneration and release of energy signatures of all that might have occurred in the past that we believe we have overcome, from illnesses, operations, surgeries, to emotional distress, that we may have already processed. A lot of the time, energy signatures remain. As you start expressing yourself through humility, with this humility vibrational force, those energy signatures literally just peel away, dissolve away, and disappear. So as your body, or our cells are automatically regenerating anyway. It's just that regenerated cells, when they come into a terrain with lots of energy signatures, they take those energy signatures. And therefore we continue some of the illnesses and some of the aches and pains and stuff. And that cellular regeneration and release of energy signatures is a huge thing to accomplish by remaining connected to humility. Justin has given a note in the chat about humility. It's expression of self through humility. How we activate, leverage humility. Yes, both. Both expression of self as well as how you do it. Become consciously aware of that. So the triad that is being anchored as the cosmic force and the cosmic blessing for us to move forward from this point into the age of brilliance, of flourishing, harmony, and humility, directly works hand in glove with the triad of the human form, the human miracle, flow systems, organ systems, and life force systems. And under each one, you've learned how flourishing can be worked with. You don't have to it is quite overwhelming, by the way, looking at all of these. You can just take one at a time. The thing is that they produce results so fast that you don't have to allocate a week for one. You may find that within a few hours, you've already had the experience of dissolving tenseness and denseness and getting into flow, for example. With that, I'm going to hand over back to you to conclude our session, Helen and Dick.
So in other words, once it starts working in one or two areas, then it's kind of like gets into a flow. And it becomes like automatic that you'll have more energy behind making the whole thing work. But so the big thing is what we learned tonight is that in 2025, the attention or the exciting part of what we are focused into is the triad of flourishing, harmony, and humility. These are the areas that can produce, take away the tensions, that the negativity really can dissipate if you
Yeah.
focus on these three.
Yeah.
We have cellular regeneration, which is
Operate from the center of this triad with conscious awareness, and take any one of these 9 points that I talked about to work with before you go to the next one. Don't rush into it. Just consciously make a choice, give permission to yourself and your cells, invoke your guides and guardian angels to support you in that, so you remain stationed in the center of the triad of flourishing, humility, and harmony. And the moment you find yourself giving meaning, the moment you experience unfulfillment, the moment you experience loss of vitality, something has taken you into the shadow triad. So acknowledge that, unconditionally accept it, come back to the center of the flourishing, humility, harmony triad.
be in harmony.
I just was wondering, I don't want to end on this note, but just goes into the shadow triad for humility. Did you mention that, or what was it?
It's actually another triad, which is a shadow triad for all three. The moment you go into something occurs and you give meaning to it, you're actually entering the realm of anxiety. The moment you blame something, then you're actually getting yourself off the game, because now you're in the blame game.
Yeah.
And you have
So
loss of
that's
vitality.
for the three qualities.
Yeah. When you have loss of vitality, then again, it's very easy to start giving meaning to this loss of vitality. Oh, now I can't do this, and if I don't do this, then that'll happen. You're like, again, just living in an imaginary world. The amazing thing is that reality is so miraculous, and the reality only exists in the moment.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need you to acknowledge it. It just needs you to be present to it and experience it.
Right.
So with that, I declare our session complete. Thank you, everyone.
What a beautiful session tonight, Mynoo.
Yes,
Such
thank you.
very, very informative and very exciting. Everybody's clapping.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
So
you.
much, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great
Wonderful.
job. Oh, look
I'm
at
really
that.
enjoying it.
Wow.
Happy New Year,
Is
everybody.
there a recording, Mynoo?
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
there is.
God bless.
I will
Okay.
actually share it. Yeah.
You,
Thank you.
everybody on the call, are very flourishing,
Thriving.
harmonious, and a year filled with humility.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
God bless.